Hi, how are you doing? Hope you have had a great holiday and are ready to get back into some painting. I've had a lovely time, apart from Christmas Eve when my daughter announced that she had tested positive for COVID and couldn't make the family meal, and that meant that I didn't get to see Killy either, my grandson. So that was not too cool, but we still had a nice time, and Charlotte was okay. She's all better now, so that's good. Everything's back to normal. I'm still sporting my pre-Christmas haircut, so still looking quite tidy. Got a few more weeks to go before I start looking like a bag of rags again. Anyway, we've been really lucky this last few weeks. We've had Rebel come out, and now we've got Krita 5, which is packed with loads of new features. I'm only going to concentrate on just a few, the ones that interest me, because Krita is a bit of a beast these days, and it caters for lots of different types of artists, including animators and different people that paint in different styles. So I'm just really interested in painting in a sort of conventional way. So I'm going to focus this review on all of the features that really interest me. So let's get straight into the video and see what I think to it. Right, let's open up Krita and see what we get. It's supposed to be a lot faster to boot up with the new optimization that they built into it. I can't really measure that because I never took any measurements or timing in version 4. What I wanted to do in actual fact was run version 4, Krita 4 alongside version 5 to do some tests, but when I installed Krita 5, it uninstalled version 4 for me, and I think maybe there might have been an option to stop it doing that, and I didn't notice it. I just sort of speeded through it and lost version 4, so that was unfortunate. What was cool was that, though, when I went to open a new file, all my texture templates that I'd got from Ramon Miranda, the oil painting, canvas, pastels, and the A4 tone paper and the watercolor paper, they're all still there, so that was great. I was very happy with that, but I'm not using those today. I'm working on a custom document, and I'm going to go just A4 300 dpi. I'm going to go in portrait mode, I think, and I'm just going to create that. One other thing I should say, normally I work in 16-bit integer channel with RGB alpha. Today I'm switching that to 8-bit because when I come to use the new recorder feature, it doesn't support 16-bit. You have to paint in the 8-bit format. So let's create our new image or new canvas. There we go. And choose all the brushes. It looks pretty much the same. When you open it up, everything seems pretty similar because the interface is supposed to have had an overall, and looking at it, I can't see a deal of difference. So I think maybe when you come to open menu options and things are going to be different. One of the things that really is very different is the color picker or brush picker. I don't know what this tool's called, but that's changed quite considerably for the better, I've got to say. If I go into settings, figure Krita, and look down here for pop-up palette, okay, I've got it set to 45. Previously it was much smaller than that, and if you set it for say 9, it would show 9 brushes, but if you had 4 it would show 4 small brushes and then a lot of space. And what's really cool now, if I set this to 45 and I choose a palette, let's go for the new RGB colours, oh, I've got to do it here, sorry. I've got to change this tag to RGBA. It spaces them out nice and evenly and makes them as big as they can get. So I'm thinking, oh, that's awesome. That means I can now leave that set to 45 brush maximum, and whatever palette I'm working with, it's going to organize them to fit on there nicely, which is really, really nice. If I go back into that, go to configure Krita again, make sure I've got the pop-up palette selected. I can change the palette size so I can have it quite a bit bigger if I want. And in the old version, the colour palette was down here somewhere. So I've got much bigger brushes, but a much smaller colour picker to choose from. So you can adjust that to suit you. So I like a bit bigger colour palette than that. So if we go back into tools again, settings, sorry, and just up the colour palette a bit. I quite like this big palette though. There we go, I've got a little bit bigger colour palette. So you can play around with that to get what you want. And one of the things that really I was upset with when I upgraded to version 5, I got a lot of tags I created myself, and they'd all disappeared. So I've had to recreate them again, and I've only done one at the minute. I've created a watercolour tab, which I always stick a couple of erasers in and pencils and things. So I've got everything at hand without having to keep opening other tabs. So let me show you this RGBA. Well, before that actually, let's do a quick test, because they say that one of the things is much smoother gradients. So they've implemented dithering into 8-bit images, which is what we're having to work in today to use this recorder. So if I do a blend, before it would have had bands in it, but now you can see that is really, really smooth actually. So that is one of the features that you don't really notice it. It's sort of just an improvement that you can't see on the interface or anything. But there you go. I just thought I'd quickly show you that. So that's one of the things. It's got a new smudge brush engine. It now supports my paintbrush engine. I don't know what any of these are. I've got to get into them, do a little bit of research, and look at the brush engine to see how that works. But what it does do now, it supports these really cool thick oil brushes. So if I make a bit bigger brush, what's happening? Oh, I've got to make sure I've got brush selected. There we go. Look at that. If I zoom in, you can see. And that's not too, it is a little bit laggy, but it's not too bad considering the size of the brush going off there. Let's max it out. Oh, that is a bit laggy, isn't it? But you're not going to paint, that's ridiculous. You're not going to paint that big anyway. I just wanted to see if it would lag or not. Even at that size we're getting a bit of lag. That's better. That works cool. Try a different brush. Change the colour a bit. So you can see we're getting these different brushes give us different effects. Light brush strokes. A rake. It's quite nice. This is one of my favourite brushes, this one, because it's like puts on half a dozen brush strokes for you in one go. I've just set up this palette, haven't I? And I'm still selecting the colours over here. I think it's just how I'm used to working. I mean, that's really nice, isn't it? And you could do this before to a certain extent, but it was a real hack where you had to go in and change lots of settings and things to get this. Now you've got a lovely set of brushes. Look at this one. This is like squeezing paint out of a tube, a bit like the Artrage one. Now you've got these brushes at your fingertips. You don't have to do anything. They come default with Krita. As soon as you download it, you can get into these brushes. So that's really cool. That's really cool. Another feature, just before we get into doing a quick painting, I'll sort of go over everything that I want to talk about, is that it now supports new photo formats. So most phones now support a modern file format that not many apps have supported up until now. So for example, if I open up the reference image tool and go to import an image, we'll see over here that I've got an image that I took this morning on my phone of my studio, and it's got a tag on the end of it, HEIC. Now if I wanted to use a reference photo that I took on my phone previously, I would have to open it up in Affinity Photo, then export it as a JPEG or PNG. But now, let's see, if I open that, boom, it opens it directly into Krita. So there we go. So there's a photo of my studio where I do the sort of, traditional painting, not so much the digital, taken on my phone, and that works great. So that's cool. Just delete that. I don't need that. Go back to brushes, back to brush presets. So there's that. What else do I need to talk about? I mean, it's got lots of new features for animators. There's a storyboard in there. Lots of tools along those lines, but I'm not going to look at those because obviously I'm into just sort of trying to paint like a traditional artist, not really getting into animation with this, but it is in there if you want to take a look. So this is Recorder. This is interesting. So I go to I think it's settings, Dockers, and all the way down here we've got Recorder. Click that on and it opens up this little record window in the bottom right. You can specify where the images are going to be saved, because what this does, when you choose record, every second or whatever figure you put in there, it takes a screenshot and saves it as an image. And then when you come to export, it then converts that to a video. So if I was working in 16-bit image, there would be an error message here. This record was grayed out and it says doesn't support this, you must be in 8-bit mode. So just switch that on, and now it's recording every second. I tried to set it to less than a second, but it wouldn't do that. So you say second is the smallest amount. And I've created a set of brushes, or a tag called oil brushes, and I've just chosen brushes that are default in Krita. So I'm not using any digital atelier. I'm just using brushes available in Krita, and I'm using all these RGB ones at the bottom. And I just thought I'd have a little play around and see if we can create a video. So let's get some sort of colour in the background. I'm going to begin with a roller because I can have a nice big brush. Use the square bracket key to just sort of get some colour on there very quickly. Maybe even darken it up a bit too dark. Don't want it to be grey. Let's come around here a bit as well. We've got some green in there. Just making something up straight off the top of my head. Don't know where we're going with this yet. Oops. Slip there. Let's just get that back. So that's first layer, let's say. Some in there. Just a ground to work on, really. Let's create a new layer. I tried this earlier on and it crashed on layers. I don't know what the problem was, but it's only seemed to have done it once. So maybe I should save this at this point. Let's get it saved. Okay, so I'm all saved, so that's cool. Let's start looking at some of these other brushes before I get into these nice big chunky ones. I'm using a brush here called Dry Textured Creases. So there we go. You know, look at this, a free app, and you could do all this with it. It's amazing. It really is, honestly. Let's have a little hut build in here. There we go. That's it. Whoops. Think about the perspective, Steve. Like that. Got a nice little building going off there. We'll put this side of it in shade, probably, and a little bit of the ground in shade, so we've not got a box. I think at this point we can get straight in with that thick paint, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? So let's try just go with the first one. We'll try them in order. Oh, bit big. So you probably won't need these brushes that big. Keep mixing the colour up a little bit. Get these lovely brush strokes. A bit like a birch tree, isn't it? I'm just sort of bringing that yellow in there, and maybe just a little bit onto that build-in, perhaps. No. That's is it the control key to pick a colour? Yeah. Let's try this. Which brush have we got now? Still got the first one. Let's try the second one. Sort of add some foliage, maybe. Just having a lot of fun here, just playing around. Put it on thick paint. We've got a blender. See this brush here blends quite nice. So I can, it's called the Wet Bristles Rough. I can sort of blend those colours together if I want. Get a bit of that yellow in there. Just add a bit of tone. Let's go in with this. This is the brush I've been wanting to try. The number 4 Impasto brush. That blue. And this gives us this sort of multicoloured effect. Press on hard, you get lots of colour. There we go, look at this. Let's zoom in just so you can see. Look at that. Gorgeous. Make it a bit smaller, go really small, pick up that yellow. What does that do? Not so good, not so good. It just sort of makes lots of smaller brushes, but I could choose one of these other brushes, maybe this large, it says large smooth. It kind of loses the, that's the one, that's the one. That's the one. This is the number 1 thick dry RGBA. Look at that. Just trying to shrink the canvas a bit. Across. Pick up that blue a bit, I think. Bit of that in there. Do I need this brush, because this puts a lot of funky brush strokes on there. It's almost like a gold colour, isn't it? Blender. So smudge them in. Oh, I've kind of lost my building a bit there. Come back in with this. Let's get some dark blue. There we go. Purple in there as well. Right, I can now go a dark colour. This first one, I quite like that. Start painting tree branches in. A bit thicker. Like this. Oh, I don't quite like that one. Just quite so much. But we are getting a very, very painterly effect, I have to say. Still using the thick paint. Straight out of the palette as well. You know, I've not adjusted any of the brushes or anything. Just as they come. Let's put a little take the light of that building, put a little fence in, shall we? Like that. Pick up that brush. What's this one here? Oh, this is this brush right at the end. This is a blending brush from the Impressionist tags, which had some nice effects too. To do a little bit of blending, let's just put a few really thick paint. Wow. I could certainly use this to sort of beef up that tree a bit. Side of the building. Maybe even sort of between that fence a bit. Let's put some eaves in and a couple of windows in the building. Really thick paint. More branches. Wow. So the new RGBA brushes in Krita. I like that a lot. What we need to do now, I ought to just quickly sign this, didn't I? Is see how this recorder works. Well, I know exactly how it's going to work because I've already tested it. So once you've recorded your painting, just click the stop button and it will have a series of paintings. So if we go to export, it comes up with this new window and we can choose how many frames per second we want, video frames per second. So I guess this input frames, if you took 30, if you recorded it at 30 frames a second, you could actually speed it up or slow it down by saying use one frame every 60 seconds or something like that. And then the video frames is the format that it will be played at, and then your last frame, I set that to 15 seconds because I thought that'd be really cool to hold the finished painting right at the very end. And by default, you need this to create your video. You need this FFmpeg app, or I don't know if it's an app or if it's a DLL or whatever. So it doesn't come with Krita, or it certainly didn't come with my version of Krita. And I was able to set it up by clicking on this folder, and I just did a search for FFmpeg, and this came up from my Rebel 5, and I thought it probably won't work, but let's give it a go. And I selected that, and then I tried to export my video, and it just comes up with this error message every time. So I couldn't get it to export the images at all, but I did manage to make a video, and let me show you why. If I go to this folder, there should be no items. It's not recorded. What? Oh, here it is. I found it. Here we go. Oh, panic over. You can see it's recorded a set of still images progressing through your painting, taking one a second. So the nice thing about this is you can pause it and go away for a day and come back and keep painting, and then piece it together. If it crashes, you've already got these images. That's probably a better example. If your app crashes, it's already recorded all of these images, so you don't lose your still images. So how did I create a video? Well, I haven't done it with this yet, but I'm going to do it in a minute. I use a program called Film Express, which is free, and I can show you. I think that's the best way to do it. I'll show you how easy it is to do. Okay. So this is Film Express. It is free. I'll put a link in the description if you want to grab hold of this. And then I just go to File, Import, Image Sequence. And then I navigate. That was my first attempt. This is the one. And I just select the first image. And the last image. It actually recorded 627 images. And then I click open. There it is. I can now, if I go to my media, drag that onto my timeline. I can go to controls, just resize it so it fits onto the format that I want, and I can click play, and it's as simple as that. So I'm going to export that and show you that properly. So there we have it, a speed painting recorded in Krita for the first time. That's been able to be a feature. I have to say it's a little bit fiddly to get it to working. If you took the time to research how to install the MPEG file creator, I guess you'd be able to do it much more seamlessly without bringing it into the software that I've used, the Film Express. But it does work for me, and I'll probably stick with that method because it means that bringing it into Film, it's the same format as all my other videos. So there we can see, look, the finished painting, which is the last still out of the selection of 600 images. So it could be quite useful to do the recording and then sort of show an image halfway through the painting. You know, if you was doing sort of maybe a guide, a book, or a PDF as a guide, you could show sort of images through the stages of the painting. Really useful tool for that, even if you just wanted the still images and not even create the video. So really nice. So I've gone over the main features of the app that I'm interested in. Really, it's it's a very personal review, looking at what I was interested in. As I say, there's all the animation to look at, and there's the brush engine, which these days, to be honest, I'm very happy to especially with Krita, there's so many cool brushes out there. Just use brushes that have already been created that do what I want to do. I don't see any point in reinventing the wheel, but I might get into it. I might start looking at the brush engine. Who knows? I definitely will be in Rebel because there's not quite as many resources in that app as there are in Krita. But anyway, hope you've enjoyed the review. Just looking at a few of the new features that have been added. You can't not get it, really, can you? Because it's free. It's a free upgrade. So a free application. Well worth the investment. It's worth the investment at the time to actually take to reinstall it. And then if you have the same problem as me, recreate all your tags. But that's not a real biggie, really. So I hope you found the video useful. If you have, a big thumbs up as always is much appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I've got lots of videos like this. Oh, and Happy New Year, everybody. This is the first video of 2022. So hopefully there'll be loads more, and I will see you all the way through the year. Take care and keep painting. Bye.